And we're live, everyone. We're live on AFTV. It's me and Curtis for the first time in a long time, actually. I can't remember the last live we did. I'm taking over for Cecil. I don't know why he's away. I can't remember. Oh, he's abroad, isn't he? Is he in San
Is he
Francisco?
Gold Cup, I think he's doing. CONCACAF.
Okay. Busy man, Cecil.
Yeah. Backflips. I've seen all sorts on the story.
Already. Hey, it's good to see you, man. I feel like I've seen you. We chat twice a year, and then we have 2 weeks together on tour.
And that's it. It's good, man. We're all, well, it's hot, man, at the moment. I can't lie. In England, we spend all year saying, "Oh, the weather's terrible. I wish it was hot." And then it gets hot, and you're like, "Okay, I'll be quiet."
Yeah, because we're not a country that knows how to deal with it, and also,
no.
When we say we want it to be hot, I mean, we are also still in like a pretty dense city. I mean, 23 degrees with a bit of sun will do me just great. And then the one time when we actually do get it, it's then a right heat wave, 30 degrees. I mean, I'm watching Wimbledon, the poor players out there. People are in the crowd, like they're in the crowd with umbrellas and fans going off. I'm like, I don't really blame you. I'm actually, apology to anyone tuning in if you hear like traffic, because I'm literally by my window, which I have to keep open. There's no way I can be here an hour without the window open. But you're just going to hear cyclists and buses and beeping and all sorts. So apologies if that comes through. But yeah, anyway, should we talk transfers?
Well, we actually got a bit of news, didn't we, as we went live? But whether it's true, I'm trying to look into it a little bit now.
Yeah, we're going to be doing a little bit of on-the-spot research, guys. Some people are mentioning that Rodrigo's not starting for Real Madrid. I mean, that is confirmed, so we'll chat about that. But Sasha Tavolieri, who, do you know what? I have this weird sponge of a brain for, like, what journalists broke what news. So, like, I always remember Alex Crook was at the forefront of the Aaron Ramsdale stuff 4 years ago. And I remember that Sasha Tavolieri was at the forefront of the Lokonga stuff. So, look, every journalist gets things right or wrong. But anyway, he said that Arsenal now in advanced talks with Sporting in order to find a deal for Victor Gyökeres. Gunners feel like they're touching the final line on that case. 5-year deal already agreed. Sesko moving away, which is interesting. I think L'Équipe might have said something. But yeah, people are, all the aggregators have got onto this news. I mean, L'Équipe are also saying that Arsenal's new sporting director, Andrea Berta, hopes a final signing of Gyökeres from Sporting. The North London club are advancing on that deal. So is Sasha Tavolieri with L'Équipe? I don't think he is.
I think so.
Oh, you think he is? Okay.
All right, let's have a look. I thought he was.
I mean, there's, Listen, it's picked up a little bit of something.
Maybe not, actually.
Maybe not. And when two different sources get hold of it at the same time, I tend to get a bit more excited about it. Curtis, what are you thinking?
Yeah.
We haven't caught up on all this, man. Where are you with our window? Where were you on the Gyökeres Sesko debate? And I'm not trying to get you to, just because I haven't heard it doesn't mean everyone tuning in hasn't heard it. But just like as of today, July 1st, are you feeling a bit better about everything? Because it's definitely picked up in the last week.
I'm kind of in the same situation I've been all summer. It's like, I think the signings that we're bringing in already, your Norgards, your Keppers, your Zubamendis, I've stayed quite calm. I've stayed quite calm. I've said, look, the window will be dictated by the left winger and the striker and maybe the attacking midfielder. Norgard, Zubamendi and them, if you put Rodrigo and Gyökeres, I'm going, that's an unbelievable window. If you put Noni Madueke and, I don't know, Sesko, I'm not a big fan of, I'm sitting there going, I'm not happy with that window. So it's very finely balanced at the moment. Obviously, Kepa got announced today. We'll talk about that. I'm kind of, it's all about the attack for me. I think all those other pieces are just, you're going to backup keeper, Mosquera backup centre-back, Norgard backup DM, Zubamendi looks very good. It's got to be that striker and that left winger. So, I mean, I don't know if you've seen, but there's also a Rodrigo. Graham Bailey saying Rodrigo will confirm his intention with Madrid after the Club World Cup, with sources saying he wants to leave. So, I mean, look, we don't know whether we get Rodrigo, but if there's an opportunity to get him, then, they're the kind of players we need.
It'd be massive. Can you hear there's some rock music blasting out in the streets? Can you hear it?
No, I can't hear it.
Okay, well, the mic's doing its job, so well done. It's a party. I live near a high street. Anyway, okay. Doesn't matter. You can't hear us. It's fine.
Yeah.
I had this theory yesterday, and when David Ornstein tweeted this morning, I was very chuffed with myself because my theory was that it didn't make sense that all this Eze stuff was coming out at the time it was if Rodrigo really was the first choice plan. But also, I never thought Arsenal would leave. Arsenal can be useless in the transfer window for sure. But we're talking about, Saka and Saliba not having signed contracts, Berta's first day on the job, basically. Arteta knows that there's pressure on him. As much as we're all cynical about the club, they all want to have the best window possible. Of course they do. And I just thought, no way they were just going to chance it with Rodrigo till quite late. Do you know what I mean? They weren't going to get to August the 15th and go, well, is he available or is he not, before they actually make a move on left winger. So when the Eze stuff came out, I thought to myself, do Arsenal look at Eze as a player who they go, well, if we get Eze, Gyökeres, Zubimendi, all the other players mentioned, we've still had a very good window. But also, because he can play as a 10, it leaves us available to do the Rodrigo deal if that comes up. And if that is the plan, then I've got to say, that's quite smart, man. I don't credit the club a lot when it comes to the transfer world, but it's quite a good way to look at it and quite a good way to future-proof and plan. Because Eze is still an upgrade on the left wingers we've got, but he's also massively an upgrade to our central midfield.
That's a great point, man. Because all this Eze talk, I love Eze, by the way. Like, I really, really want Arsenal to sign Eze. I just think he's that unpredictable player that we lack, in my opinion, that can just pull something out of nothing. I don't think he is a full-time left winger. Like, I don't know if he plays every week hugging the touchline. You do a lot of tactical stuff. He plays like left 10 for Palace. They play with 100%. Wing backs. Mitchell will hug the touchline, give Palace that width, where at Arsenal, Lewis Skelly's going to invert. So if he's inverting and Eze's tucking in, where's Arsenal's left-hand side? So I don't know if that works with him there. I think sometimes, and it sounds very simplistic, but I think sometimes you've just got to sign a really good player and just work with him where you can. There might be a game at home where you play a lone 6 and you play Odegaard and Eze as 10s. There might be a game where you start him on the left. There might be a game where you play him as a false 9. He might be on the bench. It's just a fantastic option to have. We know he wants to come to the club. We know he's a boyhood Arsenal fan. It just makes so much sense. I hope they get it done. But I think you make a great point there. With the fact that Madrid are at the Club World Cup, the Rodrigo thing's going to drag. So can Arsenal sit there for another 2 or 3 weeks and go, is Rodrigo available? And then at the end of July says, no, I'm good, I'm staying. And then Eze's gone to Tottenham and this guy's gone there, Kudus has gone. So I think that could be like, get Eze, that covers the left and the attacking mid. Then if Rodrigo, so I think that's a great point. So that would make a lot of sense.
When I saw Ornstein's tweet this morning, I thought, wow, these briefings from the top journalists don't come without serious sourcing, without serious reason behind it. He could easily have just said, Arsenal are looking at Eze. That's it. And we'd all have gone, whoa, shit. Okay, wow. We all the retweets, the engagement, all would have been there. So to add that line, he's separate from the striker and winger hunt. I thought, oh my, this is beyond what it's what I expect of Arsenal in terms of the club they are. It's not what I expect from Arsenal in terms of the way they move. So I was thinking, wow. I mean, and it goes back to Arteta. One of the few things he said that I did relate to a lot was he was talking about the team needing creativity. And I thought he was really going to go on, in the run up to the summer about, basically if we took our chances. He likes that, doesn't he? Well, we had the better chances. Well, we dominated. But he actually said we need more creativity. And I was quite enthused, but I didn't know we were actually going to address that in terms of an actual 10, a creative force like City have done with Shirky and like Liverpool have done with Wirtz. And Eze, look, when you're talking about players in that position, there aren't many better than him. Probably the two that have gone to our rivals. But also you talked about just adding quality. I don't love the left winger market. Now that's not me excusing Arsenal if they don't sign someone, but I don't love it. Lookman, Semenyo, Nico Williams, of course they're all very good players, but there's not one I go, 100% this guy. But Eze, I think, even if he's not the out-and-out left winger, I know he's going to add so much quality to our team. Like, I'm convinced of it. I'm convinced he would be a success if we brought him in.
Yeah, I mean, for me, James, I think Arteta clearly has a good system. The system has helped the team progress over the last few years. I think now the system needs tweaking a little bit. I think sometimes you need to throw a little curveball and give the opposition something different to think about. I think, imagine Eze and Odegaard in the attacking midfield role. How do you defend that? That's very difficult. Two very different profiles, unpredictable player. You look at the goal he scored against Arsenal, volley from the edge of the box. He scores the winning goal in the cup final. His trajectory just feels like he's getting better and better, and he loves the club. He said he was crying when he left. And not that those things mean that much, but it does mean something. I've seen a lot of people saying, bring Eze back home, bring him back to his, his home ground.
Where he
So
belongs.
I think it would be a fantastic signing. Like, I'll be honest with you, for me, I don't know what you think. I don't know what anybody else thinks. I haven't had a signing that has got me really, really excited since probably Aubameyang and Alexis Sanchez. Declan Rice was, wow, I can't believe we've paid 100 million and got him ahead of Man City. But I am an attacking merchant. So a number 6 will never get me that excited. Do you know what I mean? And I think Eze, I'm not saying Eze is in that category of Alexis and Oba, but he's a player that makes me like, yo, I would love to go and watch him play for Arsenal. How's he going to look in an Arsenal shirt? And I just think, yeah, it's crazy because you're sitting here now as fans thinking, if we get this window right, it could be incredible. Could be the best window we've ever had in recent years, in recent Emirates era. If you're talking Rodrigo, Eze, Gyökeres, I'm sitting there going, I think we can win the title. Like, genuinely, I'm not hoping, I'm believing.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
Obviously, the flip side is if you end up with the other players, because we're being linked with so many players. And I saw an article today, actually, from an Atletico Madrid fan channel. And they were saying, as much as Berta is brilliant, he's frustrating sometimes because he negotiates so many players in one position. So that can drag the transfer out. And they were saying Atletico have signed like 3 players already.
Yeah.
And every day, you're doing transfer content. We're being linked with 3 or 4 left wingers, 3 or 4 strikers. I'm like, what is going on here? But he's obviously got this different way of approaching things. So I suppose we've just got to try and be patient.
Which is also a reason to pour a little bit of cold water on the Eze links, because he could just be weighing up a load of things. The Athletic did say that Morgan Rogers and Madueke were on that list. We'll chat about Madueke. I'm sure we've got quite a bit to say about it. We'll leave that towards the end. But I also wonder, Curtis, having gone through stuff with Graham, like the numbers around Zubimendi, Norgard compared to Partey, Jorginho. I mean, a lot of people feel like we've regressed, and especially in terms of ball progression. Now, Zubimendi's very good on the ball, and Norgard's better than perhaps he's given credit for. But I think it's fair to say that neither are probably Partey and Jorginho. Maybe Zubimendi is, but as a pair compared to another pair, Partey and Jorginho on the ball were sensational. And I sort of wonder, lots of people, by the way, are saying that Gyökeres stuff is breaking as we speak. So I'll check Twitter in a sec.
I'm looking,
But I wonder, whether if you look at Zubimendi and Norgard's numbers defensively, they're very impressive. They're the kind of players that come out on top for all that defensive stuff. Have we gone for 2 slightly more resilient 6s because we are going to play more with an Eze and an Odegaard together? Like, that starts to make a bit more sense. And you got Declan Rice. So is there a little bit more emphasis from Arteta on getting, a little bit more steel behind so that you've got that real class in the 8s in front? I don't know. It's just a theory.
That the thing with me was a lot of people are saying Norgard's replaced Jorginho and Zubimendi is replacing Partey. But the only reason I view that slightly different is we wouldn't have signed Norgard if Partey signed a new contract.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like that from what we're seeing. It feels like Partey contract didn't happen, they bought Norgard. So to make it settle itself, Zubimendi is the Partey and Norgard is the Jorginho.
Sure.
But my issue with that is we could have had Zubimendi and Partey, which I think is absolutely elite, like as number 6. And I also think Partey would have made Zubimendi's transition easier into the club.
I agree.
Because I'm now looking at Zubimendi going, you need to play you need to play most games now. Because
from the
the one thing I would say about Norgard, what I've seen, and again, I don't want to pretend to be an expert. We've watched him. I don't think he's amazing on the ball. I think he's decent. I look at him as a ball winner. He's rugged. He's a captain. He's a leader. They've probably gone for him for his experience and leadership, because we lack leadership now with Jorginho going and things like that. The only thing I don't like with the Partey thing is a lot of people saying things like, well, you can't pay him 200 grand and not start him every week. But Zinchenko's on 150 grand and not starting. So why don't you sell Zinchenko at 150? Because Partey's more needed than Zinchenko is. If we sign Gyökeres and Havertz is on the bench, that's 275. Listen, I understand it. It's difficult. Partey wanted a pay rise as well. So 200 might have been 230. It might have been 250. We don't know the figures.
Yeah. I didn't mind Arsenal putting their foot down for that.
No, I get that, because he's 32. He's had injury problems. Can you give him a pay rise at this stage in his career when Zubimendi's going to be the starter?
Yeah.
It just feels like we've changed a part of the midfield that didn't need changing. We've got a lot changing at Arsenal this year. New winger, new striker, maybe. I felt like Partey and Zubimendi, but he's gone. So at the end of the day, we need Zubimendi to work in the six. My one concern about the Arsenal midfield this season is I think Declan Rice has got to play nearly every Premier League game, because that position is what worries me, because I'm looking at that going, in that box-to-box role that he's going to play if Zubimendi's in the six. If Rice comes out, who goes into that role? Because I don't think Marino has the legs to play that role.
Yeah.
So that would maybe be a bit of a concern.
I think Marino's got the bite and the want. Like, I think he gets stuck in.
Yeah.
You're right. It's legs and energy. And I think Zubimendi's got a little bit more than, well, he's got more than Marino, but he's also got reading of the game. Norgard can certainly cover ground. I know what you mean, but the reason I like Eze is because he adds more tech to our midfield. And I'd love to start some games with Ødegaard, Zubimendi, and Eze as a three. Why not? You're at home against 13th place. Get on the ball and play, and Rice can get a rest. But I know what you mean. Ultimately, there's kind of no one in the squad that you can really trust to do what Rice does. But that's probably been true for a little while. Look, there's been other news. I mean, you were just mentioning Berta gets us linked to everyone. Arsenal pursuing a move from Monaco attacking midfielder Magnez Akliouche. He's 23 years old and he's valued at 70 million euros. You can hear that, can't you?
Yeah, I think they're coming to arrest Madueke, I think.
The Arsenal fans. I mean, I don't know anything about the player, but it just speaks to what you were saying. Apart from he's quite good on Football Manager, but it speaks to what you were saying about just the multiple links now, and I think it's kind of very Berta that as stuff started to leak about Eze at the end of last week, first thing we hear on a Monday and Tuesday is, yeah, we're looking at Eze, but we also want Rodgers, we also like Madueke. Now there's Akliouche. It's like it's almost like he doesn't want Palace to think that they're holding all the cards here. I don't know. He's keeping us on our toes, isn't he, Andrea Berta? I mean, he operates so differently to Edu.
Yeah, we've got to give it the opportunity to play out. From my point of view, you know, we make content probably daily.
I agree with you.
It's difficult because you're reading articles and they're mentioning 5 players in the same article. So you're like, oh, we want Rodgers, but he still loves Nico Williams. Madueke's linked, but we want Eze. It's like, what does that mean for the listener? Like, you've said a whole lot of nothing. But it feels very risky, but it's obviously worked for him being at Atletico. He's probably gone to Leipzig and said, we want Sesko. They've started saying, yeah, this much money. They're no problem. We'll go and negotiate Gyökeres. And while we're negotiating Gyökeres, maybe Leipzig are ringing and saying, no, we'll drop the price. And it's kind of like, I think he's trying to make Arsenal the prize where I feel like under Edu, we were chasing the prize. Do you know what I mean? It's almost like we were begging Vlahovic, oh, please, Vlahovic, come to us. And now I feel like he's saying, well, we want you. Do you want to come to us? And let's sit back and see what falls on the desk and what deal we can do.
Curtis, I rate that, you know, like genuinely, it provided, obviously, ultimately the outcome we all want, whatever the style of negotiation is, we want Arsenal to have the best possible squad going into next season. But if we end up with everything we mentioned, Kepa, Mosquera, Zubimendi, Norgard, Eze, Rodrigo, Gyökeres, what a window that would be, then I will actually appreciate that Arsenal went no to Sesko because they felt that they were being taken the piss out of. No to Partey because the guy wanted a pay rise off the back of, and a 2-year contract off the back of one fully fit season where he was available for our biggest games. And I'm not trying to throw shade at those players or those clubs. They've all got their own things to look after, and I understand. But there's something about Berta. I think Hand of Arsenal tweeted an update on Zinchenko 2-3 weeks ago, where he was basically like, there is interest in Zinchenko, but Arsenal won't sell him on the cheap. And I quite like that Berta's trying to readdress that and go, we have other options. If you're not going to do it at the rate we're looking at, we simply won't do it. And I think that's a really good, I think that will bode well. I know this is the summer where it's basically get the players in, no question asked, sure. But I also think long term that's going to have a real benefit for us.
Yeah. And he's got to sort of change the mentality in world football of how Arsenal do business. And listen, I'm somebody, and you guys know, like, I'm somebody that I get frustrated with Arsenal. But I've actually sat there this summer and gone, do you know what? Let this guy work. We're all hyped when he turned up, so we then can't say we don't like his methods. I'm as frustrated as everyone. I want the striker yesterday. I don't want to wait for the striker, but we've got to say, let this guy work. He's done this at Atletico, and look at the strikers that he's brought to them over the years. So if he can get these deals done, last year I've seen Arsenal do quick business that hasn't been good, so it's about getting the right players in. But the only thing you would say with it is you hope it doesn't blow up in the sense of, let's say we're saying Sesko and Gyökeres, and somebody just says, we need a striker now, we're going to pay for Gyökeres and buy him, and it comes off the table. That's the risk of it, where you've been waiting and one of them just says, I've had enough, I'm going to go and play for another club. So that's the only element of risk to it.
I completely agree, because Chelsea are fine because they just got João Pedro and Delap. Man United are looking for a striker. Liverpool are looking for a striker. Yeah, there's every chance that someone just flips. Real Madrid might just suddenly go, actually want a more out-and-out 9. So you're right. We do kind of need to be careful. I think where Arsenal are feeling quite comfortable is that genuinely, I think they'd be happy, whether we agree or not, I think they'd be happy pivoting to a Sesko, a Watkins, or an Ekitike. Like, I think internally in the club, they see strengths and positives in all of them, whatever we think of that, which is why they're taking their time. But yeah, you're right. Basically, anything could happen quite last minute. What do you think is going to happen? Now, we'll go on to the Madueke stuff in a sec. What do you think is going to happen with the strike? Do you think it's going to be Gyökeres? It really is now leaning towards that. And I'm not just talking about the reports from Sasha Tavolieri, because I'll wait for the mains, with all due respect. I mean, I respect every journalist. It's a hard job. I completely understand. But when the Ornsteins, the Romanos come through with it, who are close to Arsenal news, I'll put more stock in it. But do you think it's leaning towards Gyökeres now?
I hope so. Obviously, that story, a lot of people are talking about it in the comments. The only reason I wouldn't get too excited about that is they're saying Arsenal agreeing a contract with Gyökeres. We all know the problem is Sporting Lisbon. So I think until we're seeing that progression is when you can be excited about it. I think it has leaned towards Gyökeres in the last week or two. 2 weeks ago, I was like, we're getting Sesko, no doubt about it. It feels like maybe they're getting closer to Gyökeres. I think I did a show actually with a Leipzig fan, and he was saying that Leipzig don't just sell players on the cheap. Like, they got 90 million euros for Vardy, who's a centre-back / left-back. He said, Xavi Simons and Sesko, they probably need to sell one of them. And he was actually saying Xavi Simons is the one that's pushing harder for the move, because he thinks to be in the Dutch team, he needs to be in the Champions League. Where Sesko, he was saying, was quite calm about it because he maybe hadn't had as good a season as he was hoping for, and he was comfortable staying. Gyökeres desperately wants Arsenal. He could have gone to United, he could have gone to Juventus. He's obviously told them all to wait. And I just think this is the move that we need. I think we need the win now striker. I think we need somebody that maybe doesn't fit the system as well, which sounds a bit mad. I think We need the guy that he's like a battering ram. He reminds me a little bit of like a Diego Costa. They run through players sometimes, and he's quick and he's aggressive and he'll shoot and then he'll have another shot. And listen, I don't expect him to get 50 goals in the Premier League or whatever, 40 goals that he got in Portugal. But even if that drops by 30%, 40%, that's still 20 goals plus. So
yeah.
If we sign Gyökeres, I would genuinely have belief that we can win the title next year. If we sign Sesko, it would be hope, not belief, because he scored 13 goals in the Bundesliga. So it could be nothing more than hope.
Yeah, I look at it as, I've been saying on Forever Arsenal, because a lot of people have picked sides on Gyökeres and Sesko, and I've been much more in the middle of it. My issue has always been, I don't believe Arteta will significantly change what he does. And if that's the case, and he's our manager next season, when I look into everything, and Graham did some amazing research on it, Sesko feels to me almost quite clearly the fit for what Arteta wants up front.
For what Arteta does, yeah.
But if Arteta were willing to move in a different way, and now I'm starting to think that the likes of an Eze being added to the squad means he might want to. Rodrigo on the left would mean more footballs filtered to the left, not just to the right. When I look at those potential moves, I think to myself, actually, there's enough in terms of creativity and build up and players in the pockets. You need the guy who's constantly making selfless runs, even if he's not getting the ball. But also, look what Mourinho did up front. Mourinho wasn't holding up the ball brilliantly, and he did it at the Bernabeu, to be fair. But he wasn't, it wasn't like he was bringing everyone into play. What Mourinho did well was actually just fucking finish. Like almost every side he got a goal. He asked either he scored or asked a very good question to the goalkeeper. He was probably the most efficient striker of a ball we've had up front since Aubameyang. And I'm genuinely not exaggerating.
Yeah, I would almost agree with you. I honestly, and I look at it like this, James, right? Arteta's won one trophy, unless you're talking about the silver dinner plate, which I don't involve. You know what I mean?
Let me go grab one quickly and lift it.
You know what I mean? But he won one trophy, that FA Cup. And I think a big reason was because Alba had those moments. We weren't a great team, but we had a player that could just get you a goal out of nothing.
Yeah.
If you look at Arsenal this season, we didn't beat PSG because we didn't take our moments. Saka missed, Martinelli missed, Trossard missed. You look at Dembele in that first game, he had one chance, 2 minutes, scored. Fabian Ruiz, I don't think, had scored in the Champions League the whole campaign, scored against us. So I think we need that player. Because even you look at a lot of Arsenal games last year and all them draws, you go, oh, what a chance, we should have won. I think Arteta needs to don't go for that typical Sesko fits my system because he drops deep and he links up play well. We tried that with Havertz. We tried that with Marino. We tried that with Lacazette. We tried that with Gabriel Jesus. Yeah, striker that drops and goes everywhere. Get a striker in the penalty area for the 18-yard box and score goals. I think Marino could have scored 15 to 20 goals up front if he played the whole season, just on his composure in front of goal.
Yeah.
Never mind if you put a Victor Gyökeres and he's taking penalties and Eze's creating for him and Odegaard's back in form and Saka's putting crosses in and we bought Rodrigo or someone on the left. I think get that striker. You know, Pep always wanted strikers that did this, that, the other. In the end, he just went, go and get me Erling Haaland. I need a goal scorer. And they won the treble. So for me, get that gunman in up front.
And also, let's coach Gyökeres. I mean, this is a 6'2", 6'3" player. He's got bags of pace, uses his body well. Look, does he have the finesse in his first touch that maybe Sesko has? Maybe not. I don't know. But Haaland isn't the most, it's not like Haaland's got bags of course he got class. I feel ridiculous I'm ever being remotely critical of the player. But my point is, they did go long to Haaland at times. I remember they battered us by just going long to him and he bullied our centre-backs. Because ultimately, if you've got the ingredients, you coach a little bit, you teach, and then they do have that side to the game. So I agree with you. What's more likely, that Gyökeres evolves his all-round game or Sesko evolves into a great goal scorer? I'm not actually answering that question. I don't know. But the point is, one of them is going to have to improve on the other. So why can Gyökeres not be the player that's asked to maybe do some of that more selfless work? I look at, whenever I do videos on the Gooniverse, there's often football fans like Swedish Arsenal fans who comment and they say, James, you see one version of him at Sporting, but for Sweden, his work rate, his hold-up play, his all-round game, you just see so much more. And I've also got a friend who lives in Lisbon. He watched the cup final. He said he doesn't think Gyökeres is like this perfect striker, but my word, is he hungry? Like, he's just a fighter. And, you know, the player that wants you, the player who wants to be the 9, the player who wants to fight for titles, sometimes gets the edge. So, look, I'm really torn on the two because, you know, I can't ignore kind of the research that Graham's done and looking into all that and think, you know, think that Sesko wouldn't be a great fit and that he's not set to blow at some point into some brilliant player. But we just don't have time to wait for that. And maybe we can play to Gyökeres' strengths and that will be enough. I mean, Liverpool just won the title without an out-and-out number 9. Yes, they had Salah, but you can find other ways. You don't have to have the greatest striker of all time up front.
Yeah. And I think that thing with me for Gyökeres is he's been in the Championship. I think the Championship is one of the hardest leagues to play football in. It's so physical, so demanding, 46 games. This guy went there, did the business, got that move to Sporting. People say, that's a big move, you know, Coventry to Sporting Lisbon. Big season. It's a one-off, you know, Darwin did it. Comes back with an even bigger season. Joint top scorer in the group stage of the Champions League with Guirassy. Hat-trick against City. People said against Arsenal he was poor, but the way he spun Saliba on the halfway line and ran away from him and hit the post, I haven't seen many strikers do that to Saliba. Maybe only Isak really this season. So for me, he's got that animal instinct about him that I think would really help the likes of Saka and people like that. So, and again, I would say to Arteta, just quickly, Mikel, you're now at the situation where you should be desperate to win now. You don't want people like me and other people saying, get him out or we've waited too long. Why buy the project and have to work when the guy that's, I'm not saying he's the finished article, but closer to the finished article, why not go for him and make life easier for yourself? So, but it'd be interesting whether this news, I'm literally refreshing Twitter, hoping that the big journalists report this and we know there's some truth in it.
I think a lot of football fans, a lot of Arsenal fans will be over the moon. And I know some won't be because they're more keen on Sesko. But to be honest, bro, I'm thinking of you, Turkish, Dan Potts. I think, you know, that will be the more statement signing striker. For a lot of football fans, a lot of people, I see it in every video I do, a lot of people are completely torn. But there are a lot who are saying, get the guy that wins for us now. And that could be Gyökeres. And it could be, you know, it could be him and Eze in quite early with Zubimendi while we try and work on the Rodrigo stuff. I think Arsenal fans would suddenly go, do you know what? I'm happy to wait for Rodrigo if you get him because you've done all this to get these guys. And I would be willing, and look, I'm not trying to give Arsenal excuses. I would wait till deadline day if it meant we got Rodrigo. 100%. I know that means he misses 3 big games, but I would. I'd go over signing someone else. I'd go, yeah, I'll wait. If it means we get that guy.
I think I totally agree with you. Kvaratskhelia was the one I wanted in January. I was disappointed we never went for him. Rodrigo, for me, is the one this summer. I think he suits Arteta's game. He's a very good dribbler. He doesn't lose the ball easily. And we know he's a left winger. He's been forced to the right because of Vinicius at Real Madrid. I think a lot of people get in the comments say his numbers aren't high enough, but I think those numbers go up on the left. And I think he just wants to be that star player. It's very difficult to leave Madrid, but it looks like they're almost planning for life without him. I mean, they're playing Juventus in 25 minutes. He's on the bench again. You know, they've played Arda Güler. They've signed this new winger as well. So I think what you're saying is true there. If they can get the striker, Zubimendi and maybe Eze, and then say, look, we'll just wait on Rodrigo and see what happens with that, rather than forcing it and going and just buying a left winger that we don't want. I would rather wait for somebody of his quality because I think he's a game changer.
Well, some news. Semenyo's just signed a new deal at Bournemouth to 2030. Wow. So,
shocked for that.
Yeah, I mean, with Williams supposedly going to Barcelona, Semenyo off the table.
Yeah.
Leao wanted by Bayern Munich, but I don't know what's quite going on with him. I honestly think Arsenal might be starting to ramp up the Eze thing purely because they're like, we can add some quality that improves that position. And also, I wouldn't rule out, and I know people laugh at me, I wouldn't rule out like Martinelli or Trossard getting to a level that either one of them have been at either last season or the season before. Now, I don't think we should rely on that. I don't think we should go into next season going, well, one of them will be. No, but I'm just saying, I think there's a world in which Eze comes in, starts playing central midfield with Rice and Zubimendi or Ødegaard and Zubimendi, whatever it is, Ødegaard and Rice. And actually Martinelli improves because of the players around him. Suddenly you've got Lewis Skelly and Eze there helping him, as opposed to, last season it was Marino at times, Rice at times, Calafiori at times. Like, you know what I mean? It's just, I don't know. Look, by the way, I don't actually think that's going to happen for Martinelli. I think it's slightly gone beyond him, but it gives you the option to go, well, we've signed Eze. Martinelli's in great form. We can use Eze in other ways. Just want options, man. I just want Arsenal to be able to do other things rather than the simple, he's out, so he's in. Rice is out, so Marino plays. And it was just always a bit like rinse, repeat with Arsenal.
Just quickly, obviously, we've seen a few stories saying maybe a left winger will have to go if one comes in. Which one of the two would you let go? And I can see you already making that face. I personally said I would let Trossard go just because he's 30, year left on his deal. I wouldn't want him to run it down, and would I want to extend it? Martinelli has kind of regressed, but just because of the age and the potential, maybe I would give him one more chance with a better striker, with an Eze. But which one? I would also let him go if there was a massive offer. If somebody turned up with 70 million for Martinelli, I'd say we'll let him go then. But where would you go?
This is so hard, I actually think Trossard's a better footballer. And I think he's more clutch. I think he's more clutch. I think he has bigger moments. But I think Martinelli's quicker, younger, and better work rate. And I still think that Martinelli could. I think he could surpass what Trossard has done in his career, just in terms of the level Trossard's got to. I think Martinelli can get to that and higher. I think when we signed Trossard, there was no question who the better player was. It was Martinelli. But I think since Trossard's arrived, I think Martinelli's fallen away a bit, apart from doing very well in the run-in 22-23. And I think Trossard has just been quite steady. I actually think, I think Trossard had a decent season last year. A lot of people were kind of hating on him. I thought he was fine. Like, genuinely, I don't think he was amazing, but I thought he was what I expect a squad player to be. Put up some decent numbers and have some fairly big moments, but ultimately he's not the guy that's going to win you the title. I would give Martinelli one more chance of his potential, but honestly, I wouldn't really mind which one goes. I think Martinelli you get 50 million for. I think Trossard you get 20 million, maybe 25 at best. And I would lean towards keeping Martinelli just if we're not talking money.
Yeah, I get you. I think I'd just give him one more chance, only just. But like I said, I'm not desperate to keep either one of them. You get a big offer for Martinelli, but I think with Martinelli, I almost think you've got to get him running onto the ball a bit more. Kind of view him the way I used to view Theo Walcott, in the sense that when Theo had the ball at his feet and he had to think a lot, I was almost like, it's not happening. When Theo got like put in one-on-one and just had to run someone and finish, like Martinelli at Madrid away, he can score goals. Like, Klopp and them guys always was hyping up Martinelli. He's just one of them players. Get him in the penalty area, finishing chances. If you've got him on the halfway line, dribbling and having to take people on, it's like he's not. And it don't help when you're left back. I think having an inverting left back doesn't always help when you're playing left wing. I don't think that's easy.
Mate, have you seen how City have been playing at the Club World Cup? Albeit they just got knocked out. But you see they've been playing, they've obviously employed Pep Linders, who was Klopp's number 2 for quite a few years. And they're playing with Aït-Nouri and Núñez bombing up and down. And they're playing with basically their wingers more tucked in. I mean, football just constantly inverts. It constantly reinvents itself. Evolves is the word. Constantly evolves. This isn't really evolving. This is just going back to something we saw 5 years ago from Jurgen Klopp a lot. But I just wonder, man, can Arteta and Arsenal just do something different? I actually think Calafiori, who I thought was going to be like a good Italian defensively reliable player, I think the best thing he does is gallop up and down the bloody pitch. So honestly, I think he's best when he's just like tearing down that left-hand side. We should have gone, we should have scored a second in Paris because he literally put it on a plate for Bukayo Saka. Can you get him and Ben White just going on the outside, and maybe Martinelli does more on the inside like he did against Liverpool, and he had more freedom to run in behind, to go up against the centre-backs. I'd love to see Arsenal do these things, but we don't.
Yeah, become more unpredictable. Everybody knows when they play Arsenal, Lewis Skelly's going to tuck in. We're lopsided. Martin Odegaard will be tucked over towards Saka. I think this year, and that's why the Eze one excites me, because I want to see people moving in different areas of the pitch. And I also think sometimes, having that striker at the top of the pitch gives the midfielder a bit more space, because our strikers always dropping into them spaces. So I think that could help,
Yeah, totally agree. Let's go through some super chats, guys, and we'll chat about Madueke. We've done well enough.
We've put that off for long enough now.
Yeah, we really, really, really have. Sir Kells, you've sent the same super chat twice, but thank you very much. Kepa, Eze, Norgard, Zubi, Gyökeres, 7 out of 10, 1 or 2 more, 9 out of 10. So Kepa, Eze, Norgard, Zubi, Gyökeres. Oh, I mean, I'd give that an 8.
8, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's quite a lot of your address. But if you add Rodrigo, it goes from like an 8 to a 10. It goes to a 12. Like, I honestly, Kurt, I know we should have like the highest expectations of Arsenal, but can you hear the traffic?
I thought it was an airplane, bro. I thought he was at the airport.
What is going on? But I can't shut this window. I'm sweating as it is. Anyway, but if Arsenal were to deliver a player of Rodrigo's quality, a win now striker in Gyökeres, Eze, one of my favourite creative midfielders of that type in world football, Zubimendi with everyone who's after him, and you've got the backups there, man, I've got to say fair play to the club. At that point, I'm going to the Cronkies, to Berta. I don't know what more you could have done. Arteta, you got to make this work, because there is bags of quality there. And I've questioned Arsenal's actual real match-winning quality in the squad, but there's lots of it there if we had that kind of window.
Yeah, I agree.
Rabadam says, Kirsten looks like he's struggling in the heat. Get him a nice cold beverage.
Do you know what? I've got the fan on me now. When I started, right, the fan was not on me. I had no tissue. I was like, I'm in big trouble here. I had to get a fan. I'm a bit better. I'm still struggling, but we'll get through
it. Brio says, Arsenal's transfer model is zero-sum, which only Southampton uses in the league. Does this model explain why we are bad most transfer windows? What does that mean? As in, like, we're trying to make back what we spend? Is that I don't know. Anyway, Rizzo says Berta was supposed to be better, meant to change the signings we get. Seems like he's doing the same as everyone before him. So what was the point of getting him? It's so early to judge that. And also, I disagree. I think the way that the links and reports are coming out, I think the players are after. I think, we need to see what Arsenal deliver, right? Because if Arsenal deliver Sesko and no one else, we're all gonna crash out. But if Arsenal do deliver on the players we're legitimately linked with, or at least address the positions, the 3 positions in the forward line that we want to, then you've got to say that is a change from what Arsenal have been doing for years, or we barely address the attack.
Yeah, agreed.
Should we talk Madueke then?
Do we have to?
Honestly, do you think he's a bad player?
No, I
okay,
don't.
That's good.
I think it's an exaggeration for me to say he's a bad player. You don't get to Chelsea and play for England at 23 if you're a bad player. There's overriding factors that bother me so much about the deal. Number one, I don't understand the Chelsea thing. I just don't get it. Kepa, I can deal with as a backup goalkeeper for 5 million. I'll accept that, right? I think that's decent business.
Yeah.
But Noni Madueke, first of all, I'm reading they want 50 million. Well, what about Ethan Nwaneri? Because to me, I thought Ethan did well when he came in for Saka last season.
Yeah, so it was great.
If you're going to spend 50 million pound on a right winger, I expect it to be a very good right winger, not Noni Madueke. I mean, I call him Whoopi Goldberg on my channel. They asked me, do you want Madueke? I said, I don't want Whoopi Goldberg at Arsenal, right? She's made great films, but I don't want her running up and down the right-hand side.
Do you remember,
Sorry,
do you remember Tina Turner?
Yeah, that was Matt Turner, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And look how he worked out, by the way.
I remember you got slated for that tweet.
Give him a chance, they said.
We signed Tina Turner, you tweeted. And you got absolutely ruined online. I thought it was quite
mad
funny.
Until we got rid of him. Now he's like, is he at Palace or somewhere? He's like the 4th choice keeper somewhere.
We had to leave us to win the FA Cup, mate.
Yeah, him and Eddie went for greater success. Nah, listen, Noni Madueke for me, number one, stop buying Chelsea players. I mean, I saw that tweet, 6 Chelsea players in 7 seasons. Like, have they helped us out of debt? Have they got dirt on us? Like,
I know.
It's not like we buy
true.
Reece James and Diego Costa and Hazard. Let's have your best player. We're going, go on, we'll have, Peter Cech, we'll have Willian, we'll have Raheem Sterling, we'll have Madueke for £50 million. So, I mean, let's just say this, right? Me and you have spoke about this guy for 2 or 3 years. Mohamed Kudus. Available right now, probably for cheaper than the release clause because West Ham are in trouble. Could go to Tottenham, could go to Chelsea. Effectively, if we buy Madueke, Chelsea will probably buy Kudus. So why don't we skip the nonsense and buy Kudus?
Mate, this is the player I've been dying for Arsenal to sign. Like, I've been desperate for Arsenal to sign Mohamed Kudus because I think he's ready to explode into a top player. I really believe he can make that jump. The only thing, because I saw the Athletic report talking about Madueke, and do you know what? Let me do my typical James glass half full. I look at this bottle and I say, it's half full, that. So
that ain't even half. So if that's Madueke, we're struggling.
I'm going to find positives in this. What I'd say is, a lot of people read the report and went, oh my word, I can't believe we want Madueke. I read it and went, I can't believe Arsenal want a third attacker. That's really encouraging. I didn't think that was the way we were going to move in this window. So I'm glad to hear it. And we've been linked to Mbemo. We've been linked to Kudus loosely. We're linked to Leroy Sané. So here's my theory on all this. I think Arsenal want a striker and left winger, non-negotiable. They want those 2 positions addressed. I think Nwaneri's future in this squad is actually going to be dependent on what the best deal they can do is for either another 10 or a right winger. So if we went and got Madueke or Mbemo or Kudus or Sané, Nwaneri will play in central midfield and cover for Ødegaard, maybe play with Ødegaard at times, whatever. If we get Eze, then Nwaneri is going to play back up to Saka and get minutes around the pitch, but more on the right. So I think because of Nwaneri's flexibility, they're kind of feeling less pressure to be like, well, it's got to be this player or that player. Let's look at the best kind of deal out there. Because if it's not that, then I can't see a world in which you go, shall we get Eze or Madueke? They're complete different players. One's a left-footed touchline right winger who wants to take on fullbacks, who has got pace and runs at players. Eze runs at players, but more carries from deep, runs in congested spaces. He's a match winner. He's got goals from distance and match winning quality. He's kind of central off the left. He's right-footed too. So I don't really get how the 2 can be linked other than, well, Nwaneri can be redefined in a certain way depending on who we pick up. And I don't like the Madueke links, if I'm honest. I think even if you're looking at left-footed right wingers, I think there's others out there like Mbemo and Kudus and stuff like that. But I'm actually quite encouraged that they want to get someone else. Like, I think Arsenal's attack needed a real refresh. I was watching it last season, even before the injuries, thinking, this is so stale. Oh, Martinelli's struggling. We'll bring Trossard on. Oh, Havertz hasn't been in the game. Let's see if Jesus can do something. Oh, Saka's going to complete the 90 because there's nobody else we could possibly rely on. It just died such a slow death, that attack, when in 2022, 3 years ago, we were in Orlando. We watched Martinelli, Saka, Jesus, and we went, this is maybe the most exciting attack in the league. We felt that good about the football we were playing. And, you know, it's in no time, it's completely vanished.
Yeah. No, listen, I get your point. When Ornstein put that tweet out and said Eze plus a winger plus a striker, I was excited then. I thought, okay, because Eze for me doesn't. I thought Arteta was going to do Eze because that fixes the left and the attacking midfield. He can
That's what I thought.
versatile. You know what I mean? I thought, don't do
Yeah.
that, Mikel. Get
Yeah.
specialists. But as you said, if they're thinking get a left winger and then get either an Eze or a Madueke, that level is too different. It's Eze
I
for
agree
me
with
is
you
a
on that.
Eze can be
Yeah.
a game changer at Arsenal if his trajectory carries on going. I mean, you look at Elise. People now saying Elise is Bayern Munich's best best winger. Full stop. Gnabry's fell off. Koeman could be going. Sané's gone. When he went to Bayern, I thought, Elise might not get in that Bayern team. He's ended up being their best winger. I think Eze could come to Arsenal and not only get in the team sometime. I think he would put genuine pressure on Odegaard and say, if I can't get in the team next to you, I might try and take your spot, which I think is a positive thing, by the way. I look at Madueke and I think, why would you spend 50 million on a guy that is blatantly, I think, a few levels below Saka, and have him as a squad player? And on top of that, again, you're going to be helping out Chelsea because you're going to give them 50 million for them to go and buy somebody else. Not that that is the be all and end all, but I just think if you're spending 50 million on a winger, I want somebody that can challenge Saka genuinely. And I don't look at Madueke and think you're anywhere near Saka. And I actually just don't think he's that good a footballer, to be honest. If you said to me, what is Madueke good at? I'd say he's quick. He's not bad when he's 1v1 with a fullback. I think he's massively lacking end product. And the main question you've got to ask is quite simply, why are Chelsea allowing him to leave that quick? He's in his early 20s. He's an England international. And after
Played
what,
a lot of football for them last year.
Played a lot of football. And after 2 seasons, or is it 18 months, they're going, if somebody puts 50 million down, you can have him. I would much rather see Waneri playing over Madueke and put that 50 million somewhere else.
Couldn't agree more. And in fact, probably, if I put it in a line, it's Madueke might well come in and be very good depth for Saka. Could absolutely probably be that. In fact, I'd actually expect him to be good depth for Bukayo Saka. But at 50 million, you go, huh? Eze, I think, is the signing that probably, in fact, definitely improves the team. Like, our first 11 is better because we've signed Eze. We're not debating. You're right. There's too big a quality drop from one to the other. And that's why having them in the same list was a bit weird to me. But I thought the Waneri thing might explain it. Ultimately, Eze, I think, comes in, and by game week 30, that's too late. By game week 15, he's in Arsenal starting 11. I think he would be. I think he would be in our best 11, as I think he's that talented. Whereas Madueke, I don't see a world in which he ever is. I'm just checking, my phone's popping off. I'm just checking there's no other news. I don't think there is.
No.
But yeah, let's do some final predictions. We'll go to the last super chats.
Yeah.
What do you predict will be Arsenal's final transfer window? Yeah, big. Kepa done.
Yeah.
Let's go player by player. Mosquera, do you think that will happen?
Yeah, I think that will happen.
Yeah. How about this one? Hato in, but Kivior and Zinchenko out.
What do I think that would happen, or would I take that?
Yeah. Well, do you think it will happen?
No, I think they'll keep Kivior, you know. I think they'll keep him. Yeah.
Interesting. I actually am totally 50-50 on that. I think if 30 million came in for Kivior, I think they'd do it because I don't think his value will ever be higher. Especially
maybe
with Gabriel Magalhaes returning. Then Norgard, Zubimendi, Eze. Do you think that will happen?
I'll go. Yeah, let's go. Yeah, on that one.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards the way it's being reported. I'm leaning towards I actually think this might happen. Rodrigo.
I want to say yes, but I just don't think we will. I just think number one, is he going to leave is still a big hurdle. And him saying I want to leave doesn't necessarily mean he ends up at the Emirates. he could quite easily end up at Man City. If Grealish went, he could go Bayern Munich, Liverpool. I've seen Diaz linked with moves away. So I really hope we get Rodrigo, but that one feels a long way off.
Yeah, I think he moves. I just don't know if it'll be us. It wouldn't surprise me if like he went to PSG and we got Barcola. Like it wouldn't surprise if that kind of thing happened where there was a bit of a knock on, but we want Rodrigo ultimately. So I'm leaning towards no. I don't think that'll happen, but I do think he'll move. And then lastly, Gyökeres. Do you think that'll happen?
I mean,
I now think it will. The Sesko stuff so quiet, like so quiet. I mean, yeah.
They seemed so... The whole time I've been like, I hope we get Gyökeres, but I think they're going to get Sesko. I'm just trying to... Like, in my head, I'm like, why have they changed their mind? Like, have Leipzig priced him out of the move, or has Berta convinced Arteta that Gyökeres is the guy? You know, that...
All we were told...
I really hope...
All we were told what they wanted out there in the media. Sesko's the preferred target. They've been looking at him for several summers. He fits more. All this stuff is generating that push down in price for Gyökeres. I mean, these are smart operators. And ultimately, I know we like to think of it as like, oh, well, you know, you're being too hopeful, James. That's not what's going on. But why wouldn't Berta and Arsenal try and work like that? Why wouldn't they try and get it out there? The Sesko's number one, that Sesko's the deal they want to do to force Sporting's hand a little bit. I mean,
do you know what? That is a great point, you know, and I haven't actually looked at it like that the whole window. Like the whole time they've been saying Sesko. Have they been doing that to force Sporting to say, don't mess up? Like, really, we want Gyökeres, but we're going to push it out there as if Sesko's the one. I think it's got to be Gyökeres for me. It's got to be. So I'm going to say yes. I'm going to speak it into existence. That's what we need. Gyökeres 9. Jesus, you might even have to give up that number 9 shirt, bro, because Gyökeres 9 is the number. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, we need Gyökeres, man. Gyökeres would be so exciting at Arsenal.
Would you like if Gyökeres got the 14?
Thierry, does he have the flair for that? 14 comes with...
I know what you mean. The 14
you know what I mean?
has got to be... there's something that comes with it. There's a character. There's like Isak, the way he plays, he's just made for that number. And it's just Arsenal. But yeah, I don't know.
I feel like to wear the 14 because of Thierry, like you've got to be nutmegging people and doing stepovers, and do you know what I mean? I don't know what it is. I agree.
Rodrigo.
Maybe Rodrigo. Do you know what though? I'm a big NBA fan. I think you retire that number and hang that up in the Emirates.
I'd actually be all right with us doing that. I mean, it'd be a shame that we've sort of passed it around not brilliantly since Aubameyang. Since Henry. But I wouldn't mind us doing that.
I think a few clubs have retired. Yeah, it's not a number 10
or a 9. West Ham have retired quite a key number, I think. Have they?
Have they?
I can't remember. I might be wrong. Let me see. Premier League retired numbers. Just curious.
I'd retire that 14, man. Hang it up.
Yeah, hold on. I think they retired number
Bobby
6.
Moore.
Yeah.
Maybe Bobby Moore.
In England, I'm just having a little look. West Ham, 6 for Bobby Moore, yeah. Yeah.
I think Maradona, didn't Maradona get retired at Napoli, his number as well?
Did Bayern Munich retire number 5 for Franz Beckenbauer?
Retire that 14, man. Hang it up in the Emirates. We're never going to get a better 14 than him anyway.
Yeah, I hear it. Trying to look at Inter a retired number 4 for Javier Zanetti.
Come on, man. Henry, that number's got to be hung up now.
Wow, AC Milan retired 3 for Maldini and 6 for Baresi. I mean, I don't love retiring numbers, but I do think when it's a number like 14 that it's been made iconic, that number, because of someone in particular. Like number 10 for me, there should always be a number 10 at Arsenal. I know Bergkamp, but there should always be one because it's just a crucial number, and also shirt sales and all that. Like, you know, But Henry 14, like, he's just made it what it is. But
yeah, let's be real, bro. When we played football as kids, it was 1 to 11. And people were begging to wear 14. That was a substitute's number. No, can I wear 14? Why do you want 14? Thierry, bro. We all pulled our socks over our knees. He's different, man. You know what I mean? When we started seeing Walcott and Eddie and Nketiah and these guys wearing 14s, you're just damaging the legacy, man. Give Gyökeres the 9, retire the 14, and keep it moving from there. That's what I would
give
do.
Jesus the 26 or something. I don't know.
Yeah, whatever's available there for Jesus when he comes back.
Dash of the super chat says, I think we need Noni if the Rodrigo coup fails, possibly in the last 3-4 days of the window with all red. No, it's too big a drop. You need someone who's like a Lookman at least. You need some kind of established left winger who's putting up numbers. I wouldn't be happy with
Have we not got a number 10? Somebody said we haven't got. Does no one wear the 10 shirt?
No, Smith Rowe left.
Yeah,
it's made for Eze. Give Eze the 10. Then I think Martinelli. If Martinelli goes, Rodrigo get the 11. Or if Trossard goes, then Rodrigo could get 19. But I quite like the number 19. But he'd probably take 14. He probably
would, wouldn't he?
Yeah,
I could accept it.
Yeah.
What I don't want to see is Madueke. Imagine Madueke 14. Oh my god.
I can see Turkish's video now. Did you see his welcome video? Did you see his welcome video?
I'm shocked that he made a welcome video for Kepa.
Mate, it was 29 seconds long. He said, I've got loads of these in the pipeline. Welcome to Arsenal, Kepa. That's pretty much it. Have a good day, everyone. That was it.
That's all that's needed to be said, really. Welcome.
I reckon it might hit 100,000 views. You know, everyone's going to tune in. What did he say in 29 seconds?
Yeah.
Clever. There we go. He's found a new niche. 30-second long welcomes. He clearly put a lot of effort into that. So yeah. Never takes a day off, that Turkish, does he?
Nah. Never stops.
We've hit the hour. We'll leave it there. You're going to go watch Real Madrid versus Juventus. See if Rodrigo gets on the pitch. And we'll round off there. Curtis, it's a pleasure, man. I'll see you more this month, July. And everyone, we'll be back with more lives, more content. I'll be live doing call-ins tomorrow in the searing heat, which will be great. But I'll be live from probably 7:30. We'll aim for 7, but it's likely to be 7:30. So, don't forget to join us there. Curtis, big thanks. Catch you in a bit, man.
All the best, bro.